but still here. Alright. This is my second stream. The first one got deleted because I was just wasting time, not actually doing anything. So, yeah. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to be painting up some Saurus miniatures. Okay, so don't know how well you're going to be able to see this on the front facing camera. Not very well if I drop it, but he's all painted up and ready to go, but the others are not. So I've got a fair few of them to get through. This is going to be just a lazy man's painting. I'm probably going to end up with a load of dislikes from people who watch it in the future going, oh, but that's a crap way to paint. Yeah, but I don't care because I need to get these ready for the game that is upcoming. So as many of you will know, the first step to any painting is to make sure that your minis are on something that allows you to paint them a little easier. So I'm going to hot glue mine onto a cork, which is standard, but I mean I'm going to have to be careful with the hot glue because this stuff is tougher than the old hot glue I used to use, and it's been on hot melt, so I don't want to gunk out like a ton of this. I'll never get the miniatures off and I'll have to cut all the bloody cork away like last time. Gotta be careful of them wisps. Oh no, not the wisps. Not the wisps. I got a case of the wisps. I'm doing a live stream. Oh, I've got wisps all over the place. But never mind, I can pick them all off in a second before I start actually painting. But, yeah. Standard procedure. Glue them onto corks. Fucking hell, I'm about to paint some miniatures. I can find the rest of my corks. There are my corks. I've done two more. Probably because there's a load of skeletons that also need painting that are already on corks. So currently all my corks are in use. But yeah, this is a must if you don't want to get like hand cramp holding those tiny square bases. You know, it's just nonsense. Also, this gives you better mobility to be able to paint around your miniature without having to actually touch the miniature, although I do still occasionally do that and then have to retouch it because I'm a bit of a no. But that's how it goes. You may well hear my other phone ring-a-ding-dinging every now and again because I've got several group chats that are going on and I just can't be bothered to turn it on to silent because otherwise I don't know when I'm getting messages, and I would like to keep abreast of the real world even though I'm filming. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Think I'll paint some minis and I'll do a live stream. I'm doing a live stream. I'm also going to be recording it with this. What is this? Never mind, not important. Oh god, I've got a hot glow up my nose. Oh. Ugh. That's horrible. That's horrible. God. Right, I'm going to do a quick switcheroo, so bear with me. Trying to figure out where I need to get this camera. That's a little better. Yeah, so I can work there. Camera's there, you can see it. I'm just gonna quickly check the quality and I'll begin painting. So, this guy, get this lighting a little bit better. There we go. So this guy I have already finished, and I'm going to be doing the rest of my Saurus in a similar fashion. So let's start off with this guy. He's pretty standard. So no major modifications to him. Where should I start? Well, first off, what I'm going to do is give him some kind of green wash all over, I believe. Just pull off some of these wisps. if I'm right. It should be bale tan green. So I think that's where I started with this one. Just to dull down some of those greens, bring out the highlights. You know the score. So literally just going to grab one of these sort of bigger style brushes, and I'm going to try and get into all those nooks and crannies. Let this do a lot of the work for me, because this is lazy man's painting. I would say lazy man painting at its finest, but it's certainly not that. It's just me painting. Gonna paint some minis on the stream, which is live. I'm doing a live stream. Oh, there. So, I don't know if you can tell, but now that the shade's gone on, you can see the zenithal priming quite nicely. Really makes the top a lot lighter than the rest of it. This is obviously going to be slightly different from model to model, but I'll make sure I'm wicking up some of that excess green and redistributing it elsewhere. I always tend to lay it on quite thick and then come back afterwards and pull it off and put it where I want it. And I've even been known to like dab it off with a tissue or something, just so that it sits in the recesses only, not the tops. I'm sure that's another major modelling faux pas, but I wasn't taught. I learned. So everything I do is asked about face. But that said, I've never had any complaints from my players, and that is all that matters, because quite frankly the miniatures are a means to an end, but I do enjoy the painting. That is faux show. Faux show. Probably the only who references the person who references Superbad. Such a lame little quote as well. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's awkward in the film. Faux show, it was awkward. But I don't care, 'cause I'm on air and I'm painting minis. So this is like one of the most boring parts, is just like slapping all the wash on and letting it do a lot of the work for you. Now, I run quite a warm craft space because, number one, I don't want to be cold when I'm working. Number two, I like things to dry quickly. So I'd rather be a little bit toasty and have my work done than be comfortable and have to wait a year for everything to freaking dry. So I'm in the UK, and this time of year it is rather unpleasant outside. It's wet and cold, and I've been out in it all day, and coming home I want to be in the warm. Because I do an outside job. I'm the horticulturist, and it involves a lot of my time being outside, dirty and wet, and answering questions from the public. So, all my favourite things. Being wet and cold and answering questions. But that said, it pays the bills, and I wouldn't do it if it wasn't my speciality. So I should be thankful someone wants to pay me to do what I'm good at, because no one's paying me to do this. Nor would they, because it's not very good. Painting minis on YouTube. Dee 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 dee. Nobody's watching me. Gonna get that wash done. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Even if it's not fun to watch. Wash. Watch. Break it down. Picky paint. Now, I have been known to get the hairdryer involved, so don't be surprised if I get a little impatient and start hairdrying these, because I am very impatient and I want to get these done. So I get very little chance to actually do any crafting at the moment. Our works rotas are ridiculous. They are causing me no end of pain because I have no time to do anything. So I'm taking the chance to try and do two birds with one stone. Get some YouTube done, get some paint done, even if no one's watching the stream right now. At least there's something for people to go back to and go, huh, he's still alive. Because I've been very absent recently, which I profusely apologise to. I'm sure my fan is very disappointed. I'm just pulling away a little bit of excess from around the details on the face there, so they're not too ridiculous. Alright, sounds like my other half is coming home. One of the reasons I love doing a quick shade first is that it makes a lot of the features more obvious and add depth straight away, so I don't have to fart ass about trying to make things look nice or find the details. I could just go, oh, there it is, and avoid repainting into things that have already been painted with a shade or a base. I really don't want to have to cover my ground twice. God, I've slopped way too much on him. He's drowning in it. Do 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 do. Pull some of that back off. Pop it on the next guy. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So just use the brush as a wick and soak up some of this excess that I've carelessly slopped all over the place. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hi.
You still alive?
Uh-huh. That is all of them, except for these two, quick shaded. So what I'll have to do is, because these two aren't actually on bases, I'll quick shade them anyway. Hopefully I'll get a chance to stick them onto a cork at some point in the future. It's just so much more awkward to work when you've got nothing to hold your mini by. And this guy's one of my edited guys. He's a bit of a character piece, so what I'm probably going to do is put him to one side anyway and do a different paint job on him. He's got way too much character on that face to be just rushing. But I will put a wash on him first, even if I decide to go with a different colour, because the wash is pretty much like 0 mils thick. So it won't affect the detail at all, and I can paint straight over it. That said, the wash does bring the detail out quite nicely. Nudge my other camera. Oh well. You might be wondering why I'm holding it a little funny. It's because I'm also filming with a second camera, and I need to get it a little bit closer so I can show what I'm doing. Because I'm doing two things at once here. Well, three. Try to paint a miniature, film bits of me painting said miniature for a video, and do a live stream. So all good fun. And they say men can't multitask. Well, I disagree. I say we can multitask, but this one does it particularly badly. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Oh, bad singing again. What's wrong with me? I'm doing a live stream. There we go. I think there's just enough muck on this thing. I've missed anything. I don't bother going over the weapons with these things. It's just no point. Now the first guy, his quick shade, still hasn't dried. Because I left it too thick in some places. So what I'm going to do is just quickly pull those bits off where it's thickest. And redistribute it somewhere else. Now when I first started painting, I thought that you could only really get away with doing like a shade to accent and highlight certain areas by making other areas shadowy, and I then realised later you can use it any which way you want. You can use it to emphasise shade, you can go back over it, you can do what you want with it. So sometimes it's nice to add like a shadow on like inner thigh or underneath an arm or something, just using a shade quite specifically, almost like a glaze or a technical paint. I swear I'm missing some. Yes, yeah, I am. Oh man, 2 miniatures short. Got this guy here. He's one of my special sculpts, and this guy here, he's got quite a lot of modification on him too. So always remember to mix your shades. Believe it or not, they do separate. Those pigments might look like they're all happily floating around in there, but they do separate out. Oh, hey Hand Vader. Jesus, I didn't even see you there. Been so busy covering these things in smush and singing nonsense that I didn't even notice that I'd had someone communicate with me like a real human. It's good to see you in the live stream. It's nice to have you. You now have to listen to me occasionally breaking out into crap singing, I'm afraid. It's one of those days. It's a crap mini painting, crap singing kind of day. How's the battle your side? You all done with your dungeon stackers, man? They're coming along nicely. So I heard the other day, I couldn't see you. Doing a live stream, painting my man green. I don't know how good the stream quality is tonight, whether it's lo-fi or high def or what, but from my end it looks kind of mid-level, so I'm not sure how much detail you are going to see, but I'll stop for a second. Ah, the camera's auto-focusing quite nicely. That's alright. So, since it seems to be focusing quite nicely, I'll attempt to show you a little bit of what I've got here. So, this guy is considerably modified. He's a little bit more important than the rest of these guys, and so I've put a lot of work into the neck and the positioning, and all of this is new. So I mean, which one of these guys is standard? One of them's pretty standard. Yep, so this guy is pretty much a standard stuck it together kind of jobby with no green stuff at all. And then you've got this guy here. There is way more dynamic pose, way more of an interesting thing to be looking at. Just wish the camera would focus. I think I'm tricking it with two things here. There we go. Right. So yeah, you can see there's quite a bit more effort gone into the one than the other. And then the one that's still waiting to be painted is the chieftain, the green-skinned chieftain. He's only primed at the moment, but as you can see, there is extensive work been put into him. So you know, all this feathered headdress and stuff, that's all green stuff. So he's going to be a very special paint job indeed, and I'm not going to rush that with a cheap nasty wash and dry brush job like I will with these. Even though this one's supposed to be a little bit more special than the rest, he's going to get the same treatment as everybody else. Quick wash of green, Bale Tan green if you're interested, and then once they're dry, what I'll do is I'll start with a dry brush of something like Morn Fang Brown or Scrag Brown or something over the platelets on their backs, and I'll do something like Uriel Yellow or Flash Gets Yellow as a dry brush over like the stomach plates, because it's nice to contrast all that dark green with something a bit brighter underneath. And you'll probably notice that I'm quite messy with my dry brush and my wash. I just kind of splash it about, but to be honest, if you're going to take forever putting a wash on, you're never going to get anything painted. I'd rather just slap it on, hope for the best. It works for most of my miniatures. What do you think? What's your top tip for staying fast but keeping it looking good? Dashing, that's a good that's a good one. I like it. Thank you. He'll hopefully look the part when he's painted up. Our man Bill Allen there, my boy, he's still waiting. Since he first subscribed, he is still waiting nearly a year on for me to paint that damn miniature. The reason I'm procrastinating on doing the shaman, the green skin shaman, is because he will not in fact be green. He will in fact be an albino, and if you've ever tried to find how-tos on how to paint albino skin, it's almost impossible. So I'm hoping that I can get a decent tutorial for that, but I mean, I will only know when I've done it. Right, so the wash can go back into my wash section. Talking of washing, time to wash. So what I always do is always go into warm soapy water with my brushes. All right, and then it looks like I might have actually lost my kitchen roll. My kitchen roll has disappeared, which is frustrating. Hello, Georgie. You still getting the last laugh in? You've missed very little on this stream so far. You have literally missed me putting a green wash on a bunch of lizards. That's it. I'm now washing my brush. So I always go through warm soapy water first, then go onto a kitchen roll or a rag, squeeze out anything I can, take off the chunks if anything's dried, check the ferrule, go into some clear water. Then usually what I'll do is I'll bring out the isopropyl alcohol, give it a good swizzle in there, because that will tend to get rid of everything that hasn't already been dissolved. And it conditions the brush as well, so just work that in a little bit, pull off any excess. You see there's a little green smudge come off. You might not be able to see it because this is a fairly green tea towel, but the isopropyl dissolves the paint that goes up into the ferrule, especially if you're using wet paints like washes and stuff. They tend to soak up into the bristles. This tends to get this out. Once you're happy with the clean, back through the clear water and into my mouth to give it a to give it a point. There we go, and that will dry nicely. Big celebrity there, sorry about that. I'll pop my liquids out of the way. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this guy a quick blast with the hairdryer, so I apologise for the sound in advance. I'll try and make it brief. So oh yeah, the old Warhammer Lizardmen, they're an odd bunch because they're quite detailed sculpts, but then they are quite weirdly put together, so they're not very poseable, which is a shame. So I tend to do a lot of modification on mine to give them some character, because they're great looking. I don't really like the new ones. The new Saurus miniatures, they all tend to look a little bit scrawny. Not very imposing at all. These guys, they look like little tyrannosaurs. So that is just blow dried the last of the moisture off of that, I think. So what I need to do, get a little bit of card or paper or something. I'm going to have to do my dry brushing in just a second. It definitely looks like my Digimon has gone. Oh no, there it is. Right, sod off card, you are no good. So, Digimon is a must in the craft room, especially whilst painting. Gonna clip my lav back on. There we go. Right, ready for some painting. Right, now I don't know about you guys, but I have like a favourite dry brush, and it is an absolute beater. It's just one of these cheap craft store paint brushes. Honestly, this thing is like out of a pack that costs less than £3, and it's just super crap, but it is perfect for dry brushing. Now, oddly enough, I'm actually giving this a bit of a clean because it's a little bit stiff right now. I'm not quite sure why. Quite a bit black caught up in the ferrules. I think it may have been from where I was rushing a craft project for my other half's birthday. I'm just going to work that a little bit because that black has got right up in there and I didn't notice because I was working at like 3 AM or something ridiculous to finish it off. As per bloody usual. Never leave yourself enough time for the craft, man. But even so, I should be able to bring it back to life. I know there's some people who are going to be like, oh, you're scrubbing the bristles, you're going to destroy it, but it cost like pence in the pound, so I'm not particularly worried, and I've got most of the cack out of that. A nice thing about washing with isopropyl alcohol is that it helps things to dry properly, so that should give me a nice dry brush. Nice. So what I'm going to start off with is probably, actually, I'll go with some flash gets. And then I'll step up to Yellow later. So much fun watching me shaking the paint around. Sorry about that, just my arm going mental there. Right, let's get some colour onto the kitchen roll. I'm just going to work that in, try and remove all the moisture I can to provide me with just pigment. Now the messy part is making sure that you don't get it all over your ferrule, because the ferrule is metal and the metal will keep your paint moist, and there's nothing worse in the middle of dry brushing to catch a little bit of wet paint and just smudge it everywhere, because that's what I frequently do, because I'm a messy crafter. By no means a master when it comes to painting miniatures either, so there we go. Right, was this the guy? Yeah, I think that's the guy. Right, so we got some focus there. Where do I need to focus? There we go. Right, so I'll bring it back in a sec. What I tend to do is make sure it's nice and dry. Go across my thumb a few times, and then just start picking out those weird little underbelly scales there. Now when I'm dry brushing, I always try to go with one direction to start with, especially if there's like vertical lines or horizontal lines. Try and go the opposite way so you don't go into the grooves. But occasionally you have to go the other direction. Let's reload a little bit more pigment in there. Keep those bristles nice and flat. Just go back in here. Now, like I said, this is quite a messy way of doing things, but it gets the colour on there. And you can always neaten it up later on. Remember, these are an army, not a single showpiece. I have to keep telling myself that not every single model needs to be perfect. Doing a live stream, painting my man green. So, what craft projects have you been working on lately? Anything good? Feel free to chat about it in the comments. I love hearing what other people are doing. Nothing like a bit of craft inspiration. You see, I'm catching the edge of his hand there. That's not going to be a major problem. I will touch that up later. But you got all that barely painted with a nice fade off in like 0 time. It's got quite an organic look about it. And it's just so much more rewarding to get models painted to a table ready standard that people are going to see at 3 feet. You know, it's just some of these guys are like, yeah, it's good from 3 feet. Get good. That's the distance that my table is from my people's faces, like if they get in close. And that is where I'm happy for my models to look good. I'd like them to look good up close too, but when you've got like 12 of them to paint for an up and coming game, you have to sacrifice neatness for the sake of getting the job done sometimes. Like I said, these things tend to get neatened up as I go anyway. I can never leave a job too sloppy. It's just not in my nature. I'm going to have to do something unexpected in a minute, and that is actually wash my dry brush again, because I don't like it when the bristles get way too cloggy. It tends to make things unfun. They start to get stiff and they don't tend to work so well, and just loads of dry pigment where you don't want it. But if you use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to finish it clean, it will recondition those brushes a little bit and allow you to get the shape back, and it will dry quicker, so you can get a better dry brush quicker rather than just using water and having to wait for the water to naturally dry out those bristles. Yeah, you see this is getting messier and messier. So into the hot wash. Oh, look at all that colour. Into the hot wash. Working on loads, just finding the time. Currently building fighting arena and tavern. Awesome. And that sounds good. I've got, as every good campaign, I've got the tavern of the Green Tankard. That's from Forgotten Realms. It's town of Loudwater, where our campaign currently is occurring. Base of operations, and I haven't built the Green Tankard yet because, quite frankly, I don't want the players spending too much time in there, but it's a building that is on my list to build because I would like to eventually get as many buildings made up as I can. And the Green Tankard is something that is going to feature quite heavily, and I'd like them to have some sense of belonging when they go back to town after a hard fight and they see the Green Tankard. They know that's safe, that's home, you know. That's something I'd quite like to have my players experience. Yeah, I mean, there's a certain build quality that you can put up with the non-essential buildings, like, you know, just like a house or something, nondescript, like nondescript dwelling number 1 or 3. But when it comes to a tavern, there's got to be enough character and personality in there to make it worth the build. So people know it's the tavern, you know, they gotta know it's different. I mean, I'm still working on my multi-story modular idea at the moment. I say working on, I haven't touched it in a while because I've been too busy with work, but that's the problem with being an adult. You have no time for fun. But we must make time, just as I must make miniatures. It is the way of the world. It must be so. Yeah, much better. Alright. Hopefully the rest of these have dried enough for me to put some dry brush on. This one should be nice and easy. This has got his arm up, you see. I'm going to get in there, get that dry brush right where I want it. Hardest bit is always under the chin and over the hand, because I always end up getting it all over the hand instead of above the hand. But it's easily remedied with a quick splodge of wall boss green? Yeah. Turns out to be the almost identical colour to what I primed them with, which is nice. Which is nice. Haven't you built doubles for a library? Oh, I like a book in a pub, but does it have like a changeable sign, or is it quite a big building? How does it work? You'll have to pop me some pictures to my Facebook page. I'd love to see it, since we can't add pictures to these chats for some reason. I'm sure that's just too much hard work for YouTube to have to make that work. But I want to see it. Painting the minis. These guys. Well, that one's dry enough. There we go. I'm sort of battling the clock here because I want to get as many done as I can in a short time, but also got to allow drying times. Oh, he's special. No, I can't do him. I forgot. I cannot do him. And he's still wet, so bear with me while I... Okay, interchangeable interiors. Good idea. Good idea. Alright, so those two are special. This one is still a bit wet. I'm just going to have to move on to the next phase. So, next phase, wash out the dry brush. And I think it was Scrag Brown I used. As a dry brush. There we go. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to just pick out the plates on the back of them, just like this guy. And easiest way to do that was with just another dry brushing over the top. And then a wash over the top of that to bring back some of that detail, because I'm just super lazy. Why are we at? What's that? I don't want to work out. We didn't have any carbs for breakfast. You had peanuts for lunch. One meal. And breakfast, lunch. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. I won't do it. Half six. Let me not. Hey, take care, Georgie. See you next time. Cheers for popping by. I've got a bit more to do, so hopefully I'll be able to post some pictures later. And if you've got any spare time, pop me over some pictures of your library / tavern. I'd love to see it. So that's been cleaned and dried. So next up, a bit of Scrag Bran. Bit of Scrag Bran. Let's get a big gob of that on there. Now I don't know if any of you have got any experiences with the Citadel dry paints, but I've got mixed feelings about them. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, they're all right, but other times I'm just like, ugh, they're too jammy. They're like jelly. It's weird. It's just, I'd prefer it with like a paste, to be honest, rather than like a weird jelly that you've got to work. It seems very unnatural. So, make sure I'm working some of that off. So, you might be able to see that the shade has settled nicely in between those plates. It really accentuates them. Between the zenithal priming and the wash, it really adds a lot of contrast, and high contrast is what I like to see on my miniatures from the tabletop, because you're not going to be looking at them at like this sort of distance from your face. They're going to be like right over there somewhere. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try just pick out the main ridge down the back first. Trying only to catch the plates if I can. It's easier said than done. I don't mind a little bit of fade, but don't want too much. Let's reload the brush. I'm just going to rotate a little bit so you might be able to see it a little bit better. So I'm trying to go in the same direction as the plates, so they're pointing downwards, away from his head. So that's the direction I'm going to maintain the shading pattern. So the bottoms are darker, the tops are brighter with more detail, because that is what the eye will want to see. There's no point in doing it all back to front. It'll just look odd and unnatural. Now already those browns are starting to add a lot more depth and colour to his back compared to one without. The colour richness on this camera is not great, to be honest. It's kind of washed out, which is bizarre because it's like a very good camera for a phone, but when I'm doing live streams it seems to just wash everything out. It's not a very professional setup, I know. A couple of plates in the front. One on the front of his thigh there. I think on some of the others I didn't bother with these, but Oil on this one. Alright, so there we go. I probably shouldn't be trying to be so finessed with this, but I don't want to make it too messy. I don't want to be too abrupt with my brush strokes and end up painting the whole thing but not making it dry enough and smudging up the whole look. So I don't want this brown everywhere, otherwise I might as well just paint them brown to start with. It's an accent colour only. I just want to catch those plates. Ooga chugga, ooga, 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 chugga, ooga, ooga. Painting the mini. Just realised you're not seeing what I'm doing, but it's okay. Just bring it up there. Now I've accidentally dry shaded his bloody leg and his hand because I wasn't being careful, but I will fix that later. It's nice to see more than one miniature at a time getting painted, to be honest. It's nice to have the time. Talking of time, I will have to end this stream at about 6:30. If I continue it on that long, I'll probably continue to paint until that time, but I'll probably be signing off sooner. Just so I can keep this to a concise time schedule. Didn't quite knock as much moisture out of that as I thought I did. But it's okay. It's alright. These plates on the arm, they almost get lost unless you pick them out. It's where the muscles lay. Kind of disguises them a little bit. Not the most specific sculpting. tendency to get lower and lower while I'm painting. Don't know why. End up curled up like a bloody pretzel half the time. Alright. That's 3 down, or 4 if you count that guy. Burning through these. So, continuing to work on these brown plates, trying to put more colour onto this driver. I think I'm going to have to give it a clean in a second. That may well be where I call this stream quits. Just so that the people of the future who have unwittingly decided to watch this don't end up dying of exposure to my nonsense. Yeah, I'll do. Okay, so starting to get a bit of a crew together now. Wash this out, and I shall say adieu. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll hopefully be able to catch up on the rest of it so you can see how I managed to get them from green all the way up to this guy. Alright. Don't know why it's not focusing, but oh, there we go. There we go. Struggling with that. There we go. Right, so bollocks. Peace out, guys.